One of the cruelest forms of, in my opinion, of miscommunication between a couple is when one of the partner's emotional feelings are invalidated. If you've ever had that happen to you, it's when someone else basically with their behavior or with what they say, they make you feel as though, or they tell you quite literally, that what you feel isn't important, what you think isn't important. And you may, in a crowd of strangers, you may hear that, and it doesn't have an effect because you're just one in a crowd. But when you're in an intimate relationship and your partner does this day after day with every conversation, with your feelings, with your opinions, then it becomes something I consider cruel. And I think a lot of times when I see couples and this kind of behavior is going on, they aren't aware that they're even doing it. It's almost become a habit. And because their partner has dismissed it or just gone underground and stopped sharing with them, they never were brought to attention of it. They weren't confronted. So what does this look like in a relationship? Well, emotional invalidation towards someone's feelings is to dismiss, belittle, or otherwise cast doubt or judgment on what they're saying their emotional experience was. When we unknowingly invalidate our partners, we express our feelings that their perceptions about their own experiences might not be accurate or true. And I think that is so hurtful. Emotional invalidation can have a negative effect, as you can imagine, not only on your relationship with each other, but also with the partner's own experience, like their relationship to that experience. They may begin doubting themselves so much, like, did that really happen? Is that what I really felt? Because, right, whether you know it or not, you're eroding their own self-trust. And trust is something you don't want to mess with in your relationship or make one of the partners feel like they can trust themselves less personally. When you invalidate the way your partner feels about something, you're telling them that they're wrong for having these feelings. It might make them feel as if you're telling them they're stupid or that their feelings don't matter. And I'll hear that in my office. One of the partners will tell the other one, you think I'm stupid. And sadly, people often invalidate the feelings of each other unintentionally. So I'm going to go through several case scenarios, like what oftentimes happens, how it comes across, and then I'm going to tell you what I think you can do today that will help start repairing it. And remember, this is a process. If you've had a habit of invalidating your partner's emotional feelings or what their experiences, then to rectify it, it's going to take a lot of work on your part to begin the process of not doing that anymore. First of all, you tell someone how they should feel. So if your partner tells you what happened at work, say, well, I think you should feel like this. This is something many people do, what they communicate with each other, but they don't think about what they're doing. And this is really hurtful for your partner. And it begins them feeling like you're not interested and you're not trustworthy with their experience, what they're trying to tell you about. Secondly, you dismiss their feelings. Like if they say, I felt really sad, you go, that was nothing. I don't know why you felt sad about that. They felt sad, and that's all they need to tell you. You should be able to validate that sadness and say something like, I'm sorry. I wish that wouldn't have happened to you. That would be supportive. Whereas if you say, well, I wouldn't feel sad, now they're not going to think that you can possibly understand. And so right away, you're building a big wall between the two of you when you have to converse about something that's really important and close to the heart. The blame game. So what happens with that is when your partner tells you something and you say something like, well, that was your fault. That part was your fault. You should have done that. You always do this. This is from your parents, or your mom taught you that, or your dad does that, and you're just being like them. When you play the blame game, now you're punishing them for something they feel or something they were vulnerable about telling you about. You are invalidating them completely on two realms. Not only their trust with themselves, but now their trust with you. And it's going to build the walls thicker between the two of you. So when your partner needs to know that somebody can protect them, somebody has their back, they want to talk about how they feel with someone, they are going to start excluding you. You're almost setting it up so they will look for a third party to confide in that they can trust and who will take their side of it. And lastly, they may begin bottling up feelings. If every time they talk to you about how they feel, you dismiss it or you invalidate it, then they're going to start thinking, maybe this is not right. Like, maybe I shouldn't be feeling at all. Maybe I should not worry about this or feel anything. They could start numbing the feeling. When this happens, they really are losing touch with what's going on in them. These kind of people often are very soft on triggers. In other words, it takes one little thing and they just explode. So if your partner is going off on you all the time and they have a short trigger of getting angry, you may want to look how well you're validating what they tell you is their experience or their feelings when something happens. It could be as simple as you changing your pattern of starting to validate how they feel. So if you feel like you're one of these couples this is happening to, I've got two things I think are going to help. Number one, talk about it more. When your partner starts telling you how they feel, start opening it up and saying, I'm curious what you were feeling before this, or what happened when you felt this way? How did you respond? The more you talk about it, the more you open it up, the more you're going to find parts you can relate to and validate. The more you validate and say, I understand. Oh my God, if that had happened to me, I would feel exactly like you. I would feel insulted, or I would feel, frozen. Whatever the feeling experience was, it's very important that you're not judging them for feeling it, but rather you're validating the feeling they have. And lastly, practice validating. Start getting a script. Some of the things I already told you. I'm so sorry that happened to you. Tell me more about it. What were you feeling then? Did you feel the feeling lessen? Am I helping you? These things are validating to your partner. They're going to make your partner want to share more of their intimate feelings, concerns, and they're going to want to have you be the first person they go to. And ultimately, in a couple, that's what you want. You want the intimacy to be so close that the two of you, when something good or bad happens, the person you want to tell is your partner. And when you validate what they're feeling, what they're expressing, what their experience was, you're contributing to that happening.